In my work with leaders over the last 8 years, one of the big themes I notice is that exhaustion is the new status symbol. There's kind of this unspoken formula that leaders have adopted, and the first thing is sleep, not required. In fact, the restorative properties are really overrated and only needed by the weak among us, which obviously isn't us. So the first thing they do is they work late into the night, then they get up early, and then skip breakfast, go straight for a coffee probably, and then straight into email. And this is a really good time for them to ramp up the pressure on themselves, lots of negative self-talk, and already in the morning start telling themselves that they're already running behind. And then they start to understand and feel like their capacity is super stretched, and they start to even acknowledge, wow, my bandwidth is just off the charts. But that's the sign to take more on, so that all of their peers can really feel the magnitude of their martyrdom. Any health warning, any health problem that they have, this is a big signal to take more on right now and ramp up the pressure, because you do not know when you're going to get really sick and then you won't be able to do anything. And then once they've graduated on all these levels, they get to delusion. And delusion is where they pick a date at a certain time, and it could be the end of a project, it could be the year end, it could be the quarter end, and they completely delude themselves and attempt to delude everybody around them. At this point in time, everything's going to change, everything's going to get better, and I'm going to have all the time I need to focus on what's important and not what's urgent. I love to help leaders really look at the difference between the impact they're having and the intention that they want to have. And there's often a really huge gap. And so we go to work on really defining what's important versus what's urgent. I'll sometimes have them look at their calendars with me, and had a client recently who started to work with me. 75% of his time was in meetings, and this is not uncommon. So we really go to work on how is he going to maximize his time. One of the other things I do is I help them focus on managing energy instead of managing time. And that makes a huge difference in what they choose to show up to, and also how they show up and what they put their attention on. I have been using humor in all of my work as a coach for a really long time. So one of the things I help clients with is to access their ability to be light, to look at what's happening to them, and to see what's funny in it, because the human condition is hilarious. And the other thing I do is I actually speak at leadership events, and I use stand-up comedy to speak to leaders. They should know that we're going to have a lot of fun, and it's also going to be challenging. They should be ready to dig deep. So I work with leaders on increasing their range and their capacity to be with discomfort. And so I'll often say that if they're feeling discomfort, they're on the right track. Actually, the awareness of the delusion, I find, is half of the struggle, and realizing that exhaustion is not a status symbol.